Today is Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. Back for a quick recap of the day on NASDAQ. And guys, the market did push higher today, as we said it could. I was looking for it to move higher, not to be a buyer, but to possibly be shorting. And I had marked out the weekly open, and this is hourly imbalance, but it was also where there was a 4-hour and a daily volume imbalance in around the same area. So I was curious to see if we would show some reaction from off of this level. Let's just go over what happened today, because the market gapped up and then in Asia and London went sideways. Let's focus on down here. Let's go to the 5-minute chart. And the first clue that I had that we were likely to go higher was the fact that obviously we had this gap, this range, and the market spends all this time accumulating, going sideways, and then actually like twice has these two probes lower to entice people to short. And then so that's the manipulation. So accumulation, manipulation down, and then distribution higher. So when you see these like overly sideways ranges, and then clearly there's no sharp displacement out of the range, it's literally just a move down and then a quick reclaim. But also we had divergence. If you look at the lows here on between NASDAQ and the other two. Again, this is NASDAQ right there, making the lower lows. And just above it, you can see the higher lows on S&P, as well as the higher lows on the Dow. So that also suggested a buy. I was looking at the 1 minute. So the market opens, New York Stock Exchange open, quick little punch higher, then a dump down, taking out the lows again, and then pushing up, taking out the short-term high, leaving this gap on the 1 minute. Here you can see this gap looks cleaner on the 2 minute. Took the low, impulsed higher, shift structure to the upside, left this gap, came down, and then off to the races. It's like, okay, this is great. We're going to get a push up, and then I'm going to get my short off of the weekly open, off of this volume imbalance. But this candle, the 7 a.m. candle, so 10 a.m. Eastern time candle, was the first clue for me that this is not going to reverse lower. And also, while it respected the top end of this gap, look how, again, we're not repelling off of it. You know, this, I would have much preferred to have seen some sort of wick here, even just back down to the weekly open and a closing around there. But not only did we close strongly at the high of this candle, but the next candles I was watching as well and just kind of seeing how we were holding this as support. So once we're like occupying this space in this gap and above this weekly open level, that to me is a clue that we're likely reaching for liquidity that's higher. So that's why I have this Tuesday's high level marked out, and I'm very curious to see if we hit that in Thursday's trading. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. But again, look at how we just not only hold the weekly open, no closes below it after reclaiming it, but it's also tapping the bottom end of this fair value gap, which is also in alignment with, sorry, it gets a little messy, but let me delete that one. And now you can see from this up move, again, after this candle closes, again, now we're dipping into this fair value gap created to the upside. So a lot of confluence for buys, and there could have been a great buy if I was going to trade it, but I did not. But I did keep an eye on it. Okay, so now I've put on the DR from today, and look, we had a scenario 1 buy. So why was this a scenario 1? Because price had a clean break outside of the DR high, and then right at the level of the DR high, we have a higher time frame, and I've marked it here, hourly PD array, this fair value gap. And if I go back to the hourly, you can see right at the level, DR is right here, and we have the gap, this imbalance. It's really this whole range, but this is just the upper end of it. Also, if you wanted to wait for confirmation, you kind of get it here where price taps it, next candle, that engulfing candle, and then, you know, that could have been your entry. Stop could have been like here, and you would have had a nice 2 to 3 hour trade, and then price just kind of didn't do much the rest of the day. I was curious to see what would happen after taking this high. Kind of have equal highs here, and then on the 4 hour you can see that we have this kind of up close candle. Doesn't look as compelling on a 4 hour though, because this didn't take any liquidity to the left, didn't take out any swing high. It did on the 1 hour, but on the 4 hour you can see that it's contained within this consolidation, which is why I think price is likely to come up here. But I was still curious to see, and you know, I thought it just wasn't showing me what I wanted to see. There was really, we have these swing lows that got broken, but there's no gap on the 1 minute. This is the first kind of energetic-ish gap, but I don't love how it broke the low like this. It wasn't really a energetic move below the low. It was energetic here, and it would have worked. Could have had a short here, something like this. It was good in that it did come above, did take this high and then kind of displace lower. So that could have been a short back down, maybe to the weekly open. That would have been a fine trade. But again, I just didn't love the way it was unfolding. And then obviously the confirmations seen here kind of put me off. So looking ahead, I am looking to see the market push up towards this level, and then we can react. What would get me to change that view? Well, we have pushed up, created some swing lows here off of this imbalance. And so if we get like an hourly close, let's say, below one of these swing lows, and then we reclaim below the weekly open, I'd have to see what it looks like on the lower time frame, but something like that would encourage me to say, okay, we could look for shorts again. But right now I'm not really looking for shorts until we come above this high. And if we do get another buy setup, maybe I would take it, but I doubt one is going to show up between now and New York session. So that's what I'm looking at. And then if we look at the daily, very important, looks like the daily's now finally closed. Let's get rid of some of this. Some very mild reaction to this gap, but now we have a swing low put in, and we've closed above yesterday's candle. And now I'm happy to kind of look at the reaction of that from this down close candle, which this candle broke structure to the upside. And if we zoom out to the weekly chart, we can kind of see like the ICT model playing out on a higher time frame. We have a run up below this low, and then we can see prices displaces higher, and now it's come back to kind of fill this gap. So that doesn't mean that this is going to create this huge move to the upside. I mean, it could, but you know, we're also now operating within this range here from high to low. So maybe we just pull back up to fill this gap right around the 50% and then sell off, or it could go higher. I don't know. But for now, the fact that we have this swing low formed, closed above the middle candle, that does give me a short-term bullish bias, slightly. So meaning if I were to take a short here, I would be very mindful of this area here. I wouldn't be like shorting to a new low. So everything for me is very level to level, day by day. And just trying to take the low-hanging fruit and not kind of guess long-term where the market is going to go. I have some ideas and what I think, which I've sort of outlined, but those are just very loosely held ideas, just so I'm aware of the bigger picture and what we could be doing. And then I'm really just looking level to level in the lower time frame to dictate kind of the intraday trades I want to take.